All right, friends, today the Subaru is up on jack stands yet again because we're going to be installing a set of headers. These are aftermarket exhaust manifolds, typically with better free-flowing tubing and design to allow for the engine to breathe better. These are equal length headers from Inferno Fabrications. It's got a cat. This is a stainless steel material and equal length primaries, and it's a 4-to-1 collector. This is a 2 1/4 outlet. It's the FB20, FB25. For welding people like this, like, oh, look at all the colors. Here's some of the weld work here. That's the cat. I had to wait more than 9 months for this. I just pulled out the exhaust manifold. I have to say that either I'm really sloppy, because sometimes when I fill the engine oil, I'll miss, right? And then it'll just like kind of pour down there. And I noticed earlier when I took this thing off, it was all greasy, right? And oily. It's not really greasy on this side, maybe a little bit. But someone had mentioned to me that, Jason, I know you're a proponent of like high revs, and that's just like oil pressure, high oil pressure, and your heads can possibly leak if you run the engine really hard and really high. My worry is that there is some oil pressure coming out of the heads, or it's the old stuff that leaked when I was filling the engine. I'm not certain what it is, but that's just something to remember in case anything ever happens. One of the reasons why I sprayed this silicone stuff was because of that comment. Somebody said, don't risk it because you're gambling if you're running like a header wrap. I sprayed them in silicone so the oil will not penetrate it with soap. 丟住喺度好似燒豬肉. So we're gonna do a weight difference, 10 kilos or 9.957 kilos, 21.9 pounds. Okay, so these are 16.3 pounds with the wrap on, 7.395 kilograms. So I just covered one thing. The bolts that come on this OEM header have bolts riveted into that flange. This flange doesn't have any, so what is a boy to do? Luckily, I have a little kit here. It looks like these fit. So the primaries on the stock headers, which is the pipes that come right out of the heads, these are 34, 35, let's just say. The inner diameter of these primaries are 41.5. So there's an increase in primary size. Let's take a look at the output here. This one is a 52.5. Let's take a look. Let's just say it's 50 even. So there's a couple of gains here, a couple of millimeters in the primaries and a couple of millimeters in after the cat. So a little tour of the FB20 engine from underneath. As you can see, this is the output pipe to the second cat that goes right there. And under here, this is where the heads are. This is the passenger side head, and over there is the driver's side head. Here is where these headers will connect. The sensors are right here. Oh yeah, so Inferno Fabrications, he also sent me a set of gaskets to go with this, so I very much appreciate that. All right, so that was a lot more annoying than I thought it would be. Firstly, getting the header lined up against those 6 bolts on the top, or you have to be pretty exact, and each person's jig for welding these things are a little bit different, so the tolerances are a little off. So I wouldn't say I had to force it, but I had to really kind of try to find all angles. Secondly, I think that this header actually runs down a little bit lower than the OEM exhaust manifold, and I'm not sure if that's going to be a problem. I am running a little bit lower than normal, but I don't know if that undertray will go without hitting this. And also these O2 plugs, I had to unclip some of them to reach these positions here. So I mean, there's a lot of room up there that the manufacturer could have used to move it up a little bit, but I'll let him know and see what he can do, or if this is what it is. This is a big experiment, just so y'all know. Nothing is permanent on this car, right? So we're gonna, it's an expensive experiment. Let's just say that. But if it ends up being good, then we'll figure out something for this undertray, because definitely this needs to be covered up for at least aero / MPG purposes, and even protection. Typically, I'm gonna recommend reflashing your ECU if you add any sort of thing like this, but for the sake of this video, I kind of want to hear how it sounds. So it's a warm start. I gotta say, not much of a difference, to be honest, and I wasn't expecting much. So these headers fall pretty low. They're pretty low, man. I don't know, man. All right, guys. So I went out for a drive. My very first drive with the headers on, I knew they were gonna bump. I knew they were gonna crash. I knew they were gonna scratch. So yes, you see that? This is why you wrap your headers the first time. That's a lesson and a half. These headers are too low. They are coming off the car. So it was a sad day in Headerville. We discovered that the Inferno Fabrications equal length header runs a little bit low. It hangs down. It droops maybe like 2 to 3 inches more than it needs to. What remains for this header, I have no idea. But I'm in contact with Inferno Fabrications, Steve. So we'll find out. In the meantime, the tried and true FB20 manifold is going back on. This stock header is actually quite well tuned for the engine and its output. You just gotta give her. So let's just say, at the end of the day, it was a gasket change.